Okay, so actually we have Timothy Oemmingen next. Tim Oemmingen is a diver from Germany, and he's going for 100 meters. If he makes this dive, he will be the first German diver to 100 meters, so that's actually quite a big deal.
It's
for
quite
him.
significant, yeah. Considering there's been some amazing divers come through Germany over the last few years.
Yeah, that's right, and actually it's a national record as well, and there's another diver that he trains with, Stefan Randig in Panglao. He runs a diving center in Panglao in the Philippines, who just did 100 meters constant weight in training like about a week ago, so the race is on between those two. And the nice story is that they're really good friends and they support each other. Like if Stefan was here, he couldn't come here, but if he was here, he would be coaching Tim now, and I think that's one of the beauties in our sport, that direct competitors would actually support and coach each other to their best performances. While we are competitive with each other, we also like it when the other person succeeds, and that's really beautiful in our sport.
Yeah, I agree completely, Anna. So here we go, he's about to start his dive. I think it's safe to say that Tim's favorite color is purple, no?
Yeah, he's known as the purple guy. Everything matches down to his nose clip and his sunglasses, actually.
Purple noodle, purple wetsuit, purple nose clip, purple glasses.
Yeah, everything.
So he's diving on the blue platform and he gets underway with just a few seconds to spare.
So he just recently in training did 98. So he's challenging himself to a personal best by 2 meters, and it's actually always quite hard to do personal bests in competition, and especially if it's a world championship dive. That definitely has an impact on your nerves and how you're feeling about it.
That's right, and I'm sure he's well aware that he's actually in the running for the silver medal right now. So due to some of the deeper divers being unsuccessful with their attempts, Tim is in with a chance for getting his silver medal.
Yeah, that's right. So actually knowing that will put extra pressure on, and varies from diver to diver how you handle it. For some people that makes them focus even more, and for some people that just adds the stress and makes it trickier.
That's right. Now I don't know Tim that well, but perhaps you know a little more about what do you believe? Do you believe he handles the pressure pretty well, or?
I think it's not that easy for him because he's not been around so many of the big events, you know, like someone like Will Trubridge or Alexei or those divers. They've done so many of these big events, so many world championships, that you get a routine and you've done it before, and it's not such a big deal anymore. Tim's been to the team world championships last year, and he did really well there, but this is his first individual depth world championship, so that adds, all those factors add to the challenge.
That's right, he's looking pretty good though as he goes down past 80 meters. He's looking relaxed and beautiful streamlining.
Yeah, really nice free-fall position. Circles around the rope a little bit, but it doesn't matter. It's always within the same distance from the rope.
And he's down below 90 meters, so...
It's looking good, yeah. Now he must be hearing his alarm, so he's getting ready for the turn.
His arm is in place. He's just waiting for that tennis ball to arrive. There it is. He's at the plate.
Fantastic.
Super relaxed, taking his time,
Tim. So
places his tag.
My fellow countryman, of course, I'm rooting for this new German record in the making, hopefully. But it's the same as mountain climbing, you know, you've not done it until you're back.
That's right. That's a very nice analogy.
It's true though, isn't it? The summit is only half actually on the thing.
That's right.
So for us, it's hitting the depth is only half the dive.
And he's now past the, we could say the initial part of the ascent where he's coming up with smaller strokes, and now he's settling into
a lot of divers.
Slightly longer stroke. He's looking good, and he's up above 70 meters now.
He's been training some statics back in Panglao to improve the relaxation on the dives, and I think that's paying off for him now. It's working out very, very well.
Cool. So yeah, long breath hold generally goes pretty well with the discipline of free immersion.
And his girlfriend is here to watch him as well, so she actually promised him a massage if he gets this dive. So he's been saying that he's extra motivated. Yeah.
Okay, and he is now above 40.
Yeah, looking good, looking strong. First diver after the break. And I really hope he does this dive. That's going to be a big one.
He's with his safety divers, so I'm sure he's relieved, and I'm sure the safety divers are relieved. Okay, bit of an update on Walid. He's doing fine. He is just having a nice sugary drink to help get his blood sugars back up.
Yeah, so there's been a break and the safety team's all settled in again. We're ready to continue. Okay. And we haven't actually had any delay, so Tim didn't have to wait for his start time.
Final strokes, he's up above 10 meters, allowing positive buoyancy to take charge. Let's see what we've got on the surface. He looks pretty good. And he's dipped his airways.
Oh, okay. That was very close. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shame. That was really, really close. A little bit hypoxic on the surface.
Unlucky Tim.
Maybe
It was
with a bigger
beautiful
hook,
performance.
he could have even made it, I think. Possibly. It's such a tricky thing. How you breathe on the surface can make all the difference.
I couldn't see from here.
Yeah. So there was initially a little bit of a wave, which he may have been lucky with the call, but after that his airways did go forward. And
Yeah, so he dipped.
No, I'm just asking because as a judge, we always have to be very careful. We cannot grab them too early because sometimes they look like they might be having a problem and then they are able to recover. So we don't want to disqualify them before they have a chance to take care of their situation on their own.
So, interesting point. I believe that Dean Schausch may have moved into outright second place.
It's incredible
Who
how...
was that?
No, that isn't good. We got to tell people not to dive off this platform.
Adam,
Yeah.
who was that? That just jumped in the water. Tell her next time it is.
Meanwhile, the next diver is Stig Pritz from Denmark. And I'm actually supposed to, he's my roommate here in Roatan. We're sharing the apartment. And I'm supposed to say hi to his two daughters who are watching. And they've been following their dad throughout his
Khan in Alberta.
competition career. Yeah, and they're watching right now. And
Heiser
of course-
Khan, Heiser Alberta,
Yeah.
and Heiser Anja. So, big hello to everyone in Denmark following Stig. And Stig has a chance at second place as well, actually.
He's going really well, and he actually, for himself, announced what he thinks is a relaxed dive. Again, like pulled back a little bit, like a lot of divers have done here. And so that should be easy for him. Equalization has been going very well. So I'm hoping that he's going to do really well here and actually come back with a medal.
Yeah, you and me both, Anna. So,
Yeah.
Stig is now into his free fall. Now, one thing we did see in training is that he does sometimes drift away from the line. So he closes his eyes. And this can have a bit of a negative effect.
Yes.
As we can see, now he's got his back to the line, which...
Spinning around the line, yeah. That's... Oh, yeah. There he goes back. So that's a problem. So personally, I find it's better to have some form of contact with the line, either visual by keeping your eyes open, or physical by keeping just like a finger on the line.
I agree, Anna. I prefer to dive without touching the line, just with an intermittent opening of the eyes. And it's really, really important to have a smooth descent, help with your equalization. And you'll see some of the guys like William Trubridge just drifting immediately in front of the line, never deviating
Never,
away.
no.
So something for everyone to
Oh,
aim
and
for.
he's doing an early turn.
So,
Oh, he's turned in now at 80 meters.
and yeah, show of the hands. He's a little disappointed, but what can he do? He's going to focus on his technique and make his way back to the surface. So
Yeah. It's interesting. People have been, we've seen a lot of struggling with early turns in this men's day
That's
today.
right.
It seemed like the women had a better day of it in regarding that.
maybe the girls are handling the pressure better than the men.
Maybe they are.
Well, we had less wind yesterday and less swell, so maybe that has something to do with it. Or the girls maybe made announcements that they were more confident with. Or
Yeah, I think
something.
maybe they've been
that
a little
was
bit
it.
more conservative in their
Yes,
announcements,
yes.
easing themselves into the competition on day one.
But if we look at the majority of the guys, they've actually been fairly conservative as well, announcing less than their personal best.
So
So
people have pulled back.
I think with the starting of the failed dives, that has a bit of a domino effect as well. You know, people start to realise that they're in contention for higher positions.
It is amazing, though, just in the last 2 years with the women. I mean, we're saying that conservative dives are in the 80s in free immersion, which is just, it's amazing how they have progressed so quickly and so fast.
That's right.
80 is certainly a very impressive dive.
Here with Steve
Adam
back.
Stern, do you want to join us over here?
Service protocol easy. He'll be having a yellow card for the missed meters on his dive.
So we've got Adam Stern back here. He's going to join us for a couple of dives. And who have we got coming up next, Scarlett?
Oh, next on the blue platform, we have Brandon Hendrickson of the U.S.
Another one of your countrymen.
He is another one of my countrymen, and interestingly enough, Brandon is from Kansas, the center of the U.S., nowhere near the water. It's wheat.
Now, there's a movie about Kansas, isn't there, Carl?
Yes,
There's no place like home.
yeah,
There's no place like home.
And that's what it's like. It's a lot of wheat farms. So
Oh, funny.
Brandon has been freediving for quite a long time as a lake spear fisherman.
Ah.
And he just started competing a year or so ago. He competed in Deja Blue. That was his first competition. So now this is his second one. And he recently at Deja Blue, which is a combination competition that has depth in the morning and pool at night, which is sort of the Ironman of freediving. Did you have to do both?
Yes.
All within one competition the same day. We have doubles. He got the new U.S. men's record in static at 8:35. So
That's,
he has a
yeah,
very
phenomenal.
long breath hold.
So he did a dive to 90 metres during the Caribbean Cup,
So,
which I believe was a personal best or an equal personal best. So he can perform well under pressure.
It seems that way, yes. I mean, I don't think anyone is anticipating him failing this dive.
That's great. I'm sure he'd be very pleased. He's very excited to be here. This is great for him, and we're really happy to have him. And we've really got an infusion of some more excitement in freediving in the U.S. and have more competitors. And I think part of it has to do with the location here. They feel it's much more accessible for them to
Absolutely.
be able to come here. And
I've always been surprised, Carl, at the lack of representation from the US.
yeah, we have been too, considering how strong swimming is in the U.S., that we don't have more people just water sports oriented that would like to start it.
Well, I noticed Michael Phelps recently, whilst racing the Great White, had a monofin on. So who knows? Maybe we'll see the likes of Michael Phelps joining our ranks.
I would love Michael Phelps to start freediving. I feel
pers-
like me and
yeah.
Michael would be best
Can you
friends.
imagine? I personally trained a world record holder backstroker, Peter Marshall, Henley Prinsloo's boyfriend. She asked if I would train him, and he came out to the pool with us. And we put a monofin on him, and you know how backstrokers have that underwater kick. You can imagine putting a fin on that, what that turned into. He did 150 dynamic. He had never done it before. I mean, it was very easy for him, but he had he had just retired from the World Cup. He had been the winner in swimming, and he had no interest in competing. He told me. So I tried recruiting, but didn't happen.
It'll come.
Well, maybe that's a good thing for the rest of our countries.
Yeah.
10 seconds after the extra top, and Brandon is still packing. So he's adding a little extra air. And he makes his entrance. Oh, his lanyard just narrowly skips past the noodle.
But he's clear.
Johnny and Adam and Jesse's back joining us again, and I would like you each to comment on training new students in packing and what we're seeing here and what you advise your students.
Best place to do it is with an instructor that knows what they're talking about. So
For certain, I just don't know if that place is on a student level course, if that makes sense. I want to have people coming to more advanced training, we definitely cover it. But for me, when someone comes to, for example, to take the what would be the AIDA 4-star equivalent or the PADI Master course, I don't feel like that's the place to teach packing. But that's, you know, I'm aware that that's just an opinion, and I don't necessarily think it's the right opinion. It's just where my head is at now.
okay, my opinion
Brandon
is
has made it to the
slightly
bottom.
different.
Have we haven't got dive footage at the moment,
No,
or?
they're working on it. We've got
Okay.
a problem, but for our viewers, Brandon has made the play, so that's a good sign. We're not getting a feed right now, but he's back at 80 meters. We've just announced off of our sonar. We do have a backup system with the sonar, so we can see where our diver is. So let's hope Brandon's making this dive. Getting back onto packing too, I think that maybe you could add a little something about the dangers of packing and why you don't teach it, Adam, and why you think it's not the right thing to do.
Well, I tell you what, when I was taught to pack, I was taught what I believe to be very incorrectly, which led to me having something called costochondritis for 2 years, which is an inflammation of the breastbone cartilage. So because I was taught to pack very early and I was taught to pack a lot, my body wasn't ready to handle that amount of pressure in my lungs, and if anyone's ever inflamed their cartilage before, they'll know that it takes about 2 years to go down. So for 2 years, the center of my breastbone was constantly inflamed, and it was a huge hindrance for my life. So
I would agree, but I also think that common sense should apply. I think if
Yes.
you're going to learn it with somebody who's going to teach it the right way.
For sure.
People with competition background experience tend to perhaps be the better instructors to go to for
I
this.
completely agree. I was taught by someone who had never dove deep or in competition before, and I was taught to pack until I couldn't pack anymore.
Yeah, and see, the approach that I take is when I teach somebody, we always start with just 1 or 2 packs.
A measured approach.
A measured approach, exactly. And then like this way, you can increase it in smaller increments, and I really stress the point that it has to happen over a long period of time.
100%.
So
We're just waiting now for Brandon to surface.
We've lost dive footage, so we're watching him on the surface now, and we'll just let you know what's happening. And he's up.
And he's up.
He's breathing. And that looks like it's going to be a white card.
he did look a little confused upon reaching the
He
surface.
definitely did.
Could be a combination of narcosis and hypoxia.
He's still holding his OK sign.
Yeah, well, some people like to be sure. That was not a double OK though, because he has kept the arm in the same position the whole time. I think that's just his habit. He did that to me on that long static thing that he did where he broke the national record. Yes. I'm sure he's
waiting for the card.
Waiting for the card. He was looking right at Junko Kidohama of Japan, the judge. He's got his tag.
He's got his white card, so he's going to be very happy.
He's going to be extremely happy with that card.
All right, so white card to Brandon. Well done, Brandon. 90 meters for the US. And we've got Stig Fritz here. Stig, would you like to join us in the commentary box for a minute?
Yeah, but I'm crying.
Squeeze in, Stig. So, we've got a big wet Stig.
Hey guys.
Sit down in here. Stig, do you want to say hello to Anya and the kids?
Ja. Hallo guys. Hej pigerne. Og jeg prøver at tage med, men det virker ikke. Det kan gøre ved det.
Slap af, Stig.
Slap af, mand.
Slap af.
Slap af. You could definitely see what went wrong on my dive.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
I wasn't watching, guys. You want to give me
Finally my equalizing is working, and but I was drifting away from the line, and when I pulled me in, I lost it.
Okay.
So
Maybe it's time to open your eyes, Stig.
yeah, but I'm scared when I'm down there. It's too dark and stuff. No. Yeah. Oh man.
So it's a bit of a bitter moment for Stig, but there is another day.
There is another day,
And
and there's
another
still
thing,
constant waiting of things to come.
I heard when he didn't get the white card, the German guy.
Tim.
So
you were thinking of the medal and-
that's silver medal.
Who's currently in third place? Does anyone know?
I think it is Morgan. Morgan turned.
No, Morgan turned at 94, 95, but he'd announced 102.
Okay, so what was
So if
Brandon's
Morgan had
You-
turned,
you
then
might
me
well
and
do.
Brandon are getting a bronze medal.
You and Brandon, isn't
Well,
that exciting?
No, what did Brandon do? 90?
92. We both did 92.
Wow, bronze medal
I might go
performances.
let him know.
Well
I tell
done.
you, Brandon is going to be beside himself.
Yeah.
That is so great. Wow, go USA. Sorry to be biased here, but I do like to cheer my team on.
I can understand
Nothing
that.
against anyone else, but
Okay, I'll jump in again. You're doing a really good job here.
oh great. How are you enjoying everything in this competition, Stig?
It's really nice.
good.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm certainly nice to hear some that everyone's happy and that's going well.
Yes.
I'm a little embarrassed.
Got to take it. So Adam, actually, why don't you join us for like One more minute. Now that
I can sit down too with you.
Yeah, jump in, Carla.
I've made this whole area wet, so
I can pick your brain some more to try to help our new divers achieve.
Tell us how you feel about the what we believe is a bronze medal winning.
I'm not
woman.
certain yet, but I may have got a bronze. Me and Brandon may have equaled for the bronze medal. And I tell you what, it's not how you want to win a bronze medal because there were so many divers who are just simply beyond my level in free immersion. So while I'm happy, I don't know if I necessarily feel pride, if that makes sense. I would have much preferred to see someone who deserved it, who had worked for it more.
Well, here's the thing, you turned up and you performed on the day, and that's what it's all about.
No, so you're absolutely right. I just...
Yeah, William said the same thing. He said, you know, okay, I might be the gold medal, but that's not how I want to win it.
Absolutely.
And because of other people turning early or getting red cards. We do still, though, have a question because we may have some protests, and that could change the results.
How does that work, Carla?
Well, the protest system is that we have a designated time. It is 5 o'clock at this competition when the official results are posted. That's post the bottom camera review, where we come back to the judges' room. We look at all the films, verify that all the dives were okay according to the films, and then we will post results. The athletes have 15 minutes time in which to make a protest. Then we have each diver come in and tell us what their reasoning is on that protest, and the judges will talk amongst themselves, review the films, and decide what the outcome is. And the card can be overturned. There's also the possibility that if there was a mistake made on behalf of the organizer or the judges, that the athlete can be granted a redive. So that's another thing that can happen.
So
Carla, are athletes allowed to have a redive on a separate day?
Yes, and if...
Oh, we have dive-eye footage again.
We do. We've got dive-eye back with us again. So...
Okay, Oliver is approaching the surface.
3 minutes dive time. So it looks like...
It looks like a good dive time. He looks like he's...
I would assume, going off of that dive time, that he's probably made it. He's losing a little bit of air.
I don't know where that's coming from. Is he exhaling or is it coming out of his swimming cap?
Perhaps he doesn't have a nose clip on.
Safeties want to touch him.
He's losing too much air.
Where is he coming up? Over there?
Yeah, he's on the other line.
There he goes.
And he's down. So yeah, it seems like he was losing air.
This was, I don't think we announced this dive, as a 91-meter attempt by Olivier as a party of France. It appears that he has had a brief moment of unconsciousness and has disqualified himself.
I tell you what, we have been seeing a lot of failed dives today.
A lot of failed dives.
It does seem like, though, that at least at this moment in time with this competition, the free immersion discipline was the one that was in the most contention and where divers were pushing each other the most.
It's true.
I mean, I hope we don't see this continuing for the rest of the competition.
Now, yesterday with the ladies, though, we had a lot of white cards.
Well, women are known to be more prudent than men.
Well, I think that is something that just comes with the gender. You know, there's something about the machismo and attaining these depths that women tend to be a little, I don't like to generalize, but women do tend to be a little bit safer.
Testosterone does a specific thing to a human.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that after looking at our results yesterday, where we had many more white cards with the women than we had with the men.
Well, it was almost entirely a white card day, wasn't it?
It was. We only had two early turns and one red card. The other one was overturned. So
we may yet see the girls beating the guys just about with the, So well done, ladies.
Oh, I tell you, we have some very impressive women here. It's just really something.
It does seem that there is a new wave of competitors that have come through, and especially with the men as well. I mean, never before have there been as many men diving between sort of 100 and the 110 mark. So there's, I think sometimes
what progression is happening?
Well, I think that very simply a new wave of divers have come through. In my opinion, because of the added narcosis depth, which can cause lung squeezes and issues for equalization, it can often take the men a few more years to reach those world record depths.
This is true.
So I think that in about 2 to 3 years' time, we're going to see quite a lot of male divers diving over 120 meters. And that's going to be a really exciting time.
Time will tell.
Time will
Well,
tell.
it's
And
a-
speaking of time, I'm going to use this cue to take my exit, and I'm going to catch the next boat.
Thank you
It's
for
been lovely
joining
you
us,
guys.
and we'll see you
Thank you,
later,
Carla.
Johnny. Thank you so
Thank
much
you, Adam.
for your
Thank you,
Congratulations.
Johnny. Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Johnny Sunex is now leaving us, AIDA instructor, trainer, and great safety and all-around great guy. and
All around
diver.
good guy.
Good guy and an excellent diver. For any of you looking for training and equalization or anything else,
Absolutely.
He is Sophia Gomez's coach, and if you know how talented she is, he's the one who really has facilitated that, in my opinion. So
I agree with you.
I
I mean, I don't know how Sophie would feel about that, but I agree.
no, I think she would agree. When I first met her at this competition, the very first year we held it, and she was a fin swimmer from Colombia, and she was diving, in the 30 meters. She hooked up with Johnny, and she has just taken off. It's just been amazing. I mean, she may have been. I'm not saying she couldn't have done it without him, but I'm sure.
She's certainly a talented athlete, and I think she just had the perfect person to mold her into a freediving athlete.
I think he's a big part of that. All right, now we have Pepe Salcedo on the blue platform. Pepe is from Mexico. He lives in Quintana Roo, which is in the southern part of Mexico, right next to Belize. He is an instructor, and his announcement today is for 90 meters and a dive time of 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Pepe is quite the character in freediving. we all know Pepe. He's entertaining, he's funny, he's affable, he's outgoing, kind of a man about town kind of guy.
He definitely
is. Yeah. So here he is. This is a big dive for Pepe today. He's really improved over the last couple of years.
In the Caribbean Cup, he had 2 attempts at 88 meters free motion, but wasn't successful. So I'm hoping he had a good dive or 2 in training, which has set him up properly to execute this dive.
Yeah.
Still pulling there.
Pulling a little bit at 82 meters. He's anxious to get there. I think he's hurrying.
I mean, I don't think this is a good sign because it would indicate stress to me.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with Pepe. He's kind of a go for it kind of personality.
All right, coming back up.
Coming up.
He looks composed on the way up now.
He does. That may just be a style thing to Pepe. He's very concerned with style, and so.
Let's say he's a gentleman with a lot of flair.
He is, very much so. Very enjoyable. Very popular.
Going for a
a
small kick as he comes up.
Yeah, he's at 63 right now. His dive time is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. On his way back from a 90-meter dive, he did grab the tag successfully.
He does have the tag. I do have to say that this is probably the most unorthodox dive I've ever seen. And hats off to him if he's clear on the top here.
Yeah, let's see how he does. I don't know. We'll see. Pepe is very popular amongst all the freedivers.
Yeah,
so.
you can't hate Pepe, and you can't be upset with him.
No. But it'll be interesting to see here. He does seem like he's exerting quite a bit of energy on this dive.
It does seem to be that way, yes. All right, he's with the first safety.
Yeah.
And the safeties don't seem to have any cause to be concerned.
No, he's pulling very strongly. Let's just hope he gets a nice big breath at the surface and can get his head back in this.
I would be so happy for him if he did this dive.
I know, we all would. Yeah. We're blocked here by the safety, but he's definitely on his way up. He's only got a couple meters to go. We should be seeing him in just a second here. There he is.
And there he is on the surface.
Yeah.
And
no, not
That's
quite.
a blackout.
Yeah, just not quite.
Oh, he's back already.
Oh yeah, it's very brief. That's kind of Pepe-esque, actually.
But still gives you service protocol. Actually, that's something that a lot of divers do, because when you do blackout, you lose memory of what's taken place, and so most divers come straight back and do their service protocol.
We've had people actually kind of wake up after some time has passed and sat up and said, "I'm okay." And we're like, "Well, no, you're a little past the time. I'm sorry." Yeah. Good try, and we're glad to see you back with us, but no, the time has expired. That's too bad for Pepe. I think he may want to watch this on the replay on YouTube and take a look at his technique, Adam. And some of you divers that have been doing these dips may be able to give him a little advice on what he could do. There's some things there he can easily improve.
I think that between the space of 1 or 2 dives to fix a few issues with his technique, he could have done that dive.
Yes,
definitely.
I would agree with you, and which is great. That's really encouraging. I know as a diver myself, if there's something I know I can fix, the worst thing is not knowing what to fix.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing with the dive eye. I mean, I'd never really seen myself dive before until this moment. So it's an extraordinary training tool.
Yeah. Here's coming up now on the white platform. We have Daniel Koval out of the USA and Hawaii. He trains in Kona, I believe, with our other group of freedivers present here.
It's a very big group of freedivers in Hawaii, isn't there?
Yes, it is. It's a very strong diving community. Most of them have started from the spearfishing base because it's very good spearfishing there, and it's part of the local tradition as well. And we've had a number of freedivers from different areas move to Hawaii who want to try to broaden their accomplishments and become better divers, because in the U.S. it is the best place to dive.
For sure.
So some of them just decide to pack their bags from wherever they're from. Daniel is not from Hawaii originally. I'm not sure. He's from the middle of the country somewhere, or the south, and he decided to move there to try to fulfill his freediving ambitions. And so that's why we have a number of people there who are from that area. So it's...
Daniel is about to take his final breath. He's packing now, and we'll see him depart any moment now.
Yes, Daniel has announced 88 meters in a dive time of 3:10.
Now, recently in training, Daniel did a 100-meter dive, but he hasn't been successful, as far as I'm aware, in reaching that depth again in this competition.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe it's a little bit of jitters. This is his first major competition. I believe he competed maybe in the Caribbean Cup last year. I wasn't at that competition, but I think he may have.
It is also always easier doing the dives on home turf.
Always. And but he does. There is a local competition in Hawaii that he and Kurt Chambers have, but it is not one that follows AIDA rules. It's kind of their own fun comp. So,
okay.
So those rules, those rankings and those dives are not eligible for the ranking.
Beautiful.
So
do you know, we
Timmy,
just had Timothy. Tim, how do I pronounce your last name again? I always mess it up.
Sorry?
I always mess up the pronunciation of your last name. So we've got Tim
Omegan.
Sorry, Tim. Tim was so close to making his first 100-meter dive.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think you have nothing to be upset about. I think you put in a valiant effort, and you were so close. That's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with the dive.
No.
There was just a little bit of current.
A little bit on the surface, right?
Yeah,
the first 15 meters.
And the dive time was longer than I expected. So maybe that was it. So maybe on a perfect day, it wouldn't have been a
you looked
LMC.
great. It was just that split second that if you'd maybe taken one bigger breath or something, but
I cannot remember that I grabbed, so I was hypoxic for sure.
For
you
certain.
looked beautiful though. You looked great.
You did.
It looked really
in
good.
the first 5 seconds, I thought you were going to make it.
Yeah, we thought you were going to make it. We really did. It looked great. It certainly wasn't one. I would certainly see that as a success if I were you. I would see that as a successful dive. No, not a white card, but a successful dive overall.
Absolutely.
So you should think positively of it.
It was the first time I felt hypoxic, so after a deep dive.
Well, it's the World Championships.
Daniel
you know?
Koval is now coming up. He's at 60. He's just about to hit 60 meters. He's coming up with some good speed.
Yeah, he is. He looks like he's not messing around there.
No, he's not.
Yeah, so that's great. Let's see how Daniel does coming up. As I said, that Daniel is doing an 88-meter dive.
Pulling quite strong, but he seems to be fine. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of style. Some divers come up slow, some divers come up fast, some pull hard, some pull softly. It's really just a matter of style. And if it works for that diver, then it works. With the first safety now.
And that's one thing for newer divers, that's one of the things you have to figure out.
Absolutely.
What style works best for you? It's the same thing in dynamic in the pool or whatever, what Alexei Molchanov does in the pool compared to Goran Cholak or Matt Molina. It could be not what you should do. It just depends. You got to figure it out for yourself.
That's right. Effectively, you'll condition your body to get used to whatever you do. Oh. Okay, and it does seem that Daniel is out.
Yeah, it looks like the safeties are grabbing him. Yeah, he's
all right. Just a few meters below the surface, Daniel Koval has had a blackout.
Yeah, good. All right, he'll be fine. The safeties are taking care of him.
It's definitely been the theme of the day. Which is quite sad. There were some very big dives that were
and it started out very
today.
good with a lot of white cards, and then when we came into the afternoon and the bigger dives, Daniel is back. He's fine.
Yep, there we go.
Safeties are taking care of him. They're shading his eyes so he doesn't have the sun in them, which is kind of disorienting when you wake up and the sun's like glaring.
Well, because the last thing you remember is being underwater.
I know. I've had this experience. Some of you may not know me and think that I just am an administrator, but the fact is that now I do dive, so I have had these experiences.
You are an all-rounder, Carla. You're a diver, you're a competitor, you're a judge. You're an administrator,
Yeah,
you're
jack
the
of all
president.
trades, maybe
That's
not
right.
master of any of them. But,
Yeah, but certainly a jack.
Still a jack.
Yeah, but yeah, so I have had these things happen to me, so I do understand.
So, Tim, tell us a little bit about your progression with free immersion over the last few weeks, because in training you recently did a 98-meter free immersion dive, and you did it very clear and easily.
Exactly, yeah.
So you obviously felt that you were ready for the 100.
Yes. I mean, I did the 98 and I had a lumbago on that morning. So I went into the water. The biggest problem was to get into the suit.
Yes.
And then for that it was really good, the 98. So there everything was perfectly fine. And it was, of course, the dive today was quite risky because I didn't do a lot of dives between 90 and 100 meters. And usually I would be a little bit more experienced in that before going for that number. But it was kind of...
That 100 meters is very alluring.
Yeah.
I remember the Vertical Blue 2016 was the first time I hit it, and it weighs and plays in your mind a lot.
Yeah. Now we have Brandon Hendrickson joining us, who just had a very successful dive and white card. Congratulations, Brandon. You must be a little bit excited about that.
I am. I am happy to get a PB.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous going into it, so I had a couple tough dives to 90, 91 last week, but I was feeling a lot better overall health-wise this week, so I think that played a little into me going ahead and going for it.
Yeah, rest does wonders.
Yeah.
Well, that was certainly a nice looking dive there, and congratulations. We were doing some calculations. Now, I was explaining to our audience that we will post the unofficial results when we get back on shore, and there will be an opportunity at 5 o'clock for divers to protest. Pending protest, right now you're standing in third place for a bronze medal, but you know that can change if something happens in the protest.
Definitely.
So
That's cool.
but you know, it's certainly something to be very happy about.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a stacked list of athletes here, so I would be happy with a top 10 place. Anything above that would be just
Well, you're definitely going to
outstanding.
have that, and you may even have a medal. Just depends on what happens with the protests and judges' decisions following that. And
Sure.
I can't tell you because I don't know. So.
Yeah, we won't know till tonight, so.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a little bit of a mystery still hanging over there. We have to wait and see, but
Very cool.
it's great. So now we have Piotr Larinowicz.
Oh no, he's just grabbing his carabiner. Sorry, I wasn't certain what he was doing, but he's just grabbing his carabiner as he enters his free fall.
Now, Piotr is from Poland, and he has announced an 87-meter dive, which is his PB. So he's repeating his PB here today, and which, you know, you have to remember there is competition nerves involved. I'm sure all three of you who are competing can relate to that.
I'll tell you what, I'll have the comp nerves on the constant weight day for certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam's forte is constant weight, so that you put more pressure on yourself too in your best event.
Definitely.
You
Sure.
know? Yeah.
You gotta try to tell yourself it's just another training dive.
You try to tell
But
yourself that.
it's really hard to block it out.
Yeah. So what do we think about Peter's style here so far?
I mean, he seems to be circling the line, and I'm not certain if his style of free falling is the best. I think it's coming from the way he's placing his feet. He seems to be putting himself into a spiral.
He's got the tag.
Up he comes.
I think he was falling below the
He
bottom
looked
plate.
like he
no?
went below the plate. He did. It must. We had a discussion earlier in regards to setting an alarm on your watch. What depth do you like to set your alarm?
Mine's about 8 meters before the place.
Okay. And Timmy, do you use an alarm on yours as well?
Yes, I have 1.6 before, so that was in this case it was around 85 meters.
Okay. Okay.
Just to know that I'm seeing there, and you can prepare for everything, and to see if the equalization is working until the end.
That's right, because by that time you'll know if you'll be able to make it to the bottom or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a similar thing with my alarm. I have it 10 meters below my target, and then I'll know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's for newer divers. It's important to buy a good dive gauge because you tend to kind of lose where you are, and when you start competing as well, that if you are relaxed, sometimes you don't realize how close you are to the plate, and you can actually hit it.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's happened a few times in training here.
Yes, so that is something to invest in.
All right, Peter's with the first safety now.
Yeah, he's coming up.
Slowing down a little bit, but still coming along.
So Timmy and Brandon, are you enjoying our dive-by here at this competition?
Yeah, I think this is absolutely amazing.
Did you hear it on the water? Do you hear it?
I didn't hear it.
I don't hear it, no. I was looking for it in my dive, and I gave it a little shaka sign when I found it. But it's not that hard to spot. It's not that easy to spot. Oh,
it looks like
a lot of bubbles, but he may just be
bubbles.
exhaling.
Yeah, some divers do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he's breathing. He looks
yeah,
fine.
He's fine. Yeah, he was just exhaling.
Yeah.
Very well.
Sometimes a letting go of air like that can be an indication that a diver is losing some breath hold and losing control.
Maybe blacking out.
But it also can mean they're just exhaling. So the safety divers have to keep an eye on that and try to make an assessment and see if it's just a normal exhale or if it's something else.
I personally start my exhale about 3 meters below the surface.
And
there we go,
job.
white card.
Nice
Congratulations.
Job. Very good. Well, I'm glad to see a white card because we've had a couple of not so great ones. Over on the next line, we have Ariel Kidney from Israel. He's our only competitor here from Israel. He was a safety diver in the Caribbean Cup, and now he's joined the competition, so we're anxious to see.
Ariel is one of the other people in this competition that is just loved by all. An absolute character.
And he's announced 83 meters and a dive time of 3:10. So he's getting ready, and he's got kind of a camouflage-looking suit on there.
Going for the national record, right?
I
believe. I believe it would be the Israeli national record.
At the moment, it belongs to Yaron, and I'm not certain where it is. If it's 82 or 84, but it's not written as a national record. But if it isn't a national record, it's definitely
close.
Knocking the door down, you know.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know on those things what the national record is. So.
Ariel is a masculine name in Israel, just so you know.
Oh, yes.
I think a lot of people will associate that with the Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah, I think they probably do. Yeah. But there's several names that, worldwide that can be girls' and boys' names.
Definitely. Ariel's coach takes his noodle away as he prepares to go.
Hello. Carl. Yeah. 175.
Not doing any good. Ariel is on his way down now. He's just coming up at 10 meters and
going down nice and fast.
He's moving quite fast. He's got his stroke count here is moving right along.
Look at that. He's going to hit
national
30 meters in 25 seconds, so he's faster than a meter per second.
I've just been informed this is a national record for Ariel, so that makes it a little bit more important to him. Probably puts a little bit more stress on him as well.
Absolutely.
So we've got Jessie Lou back with us again. She's peering over the side, looking at our screen. Tomorrow is a training day or a rest day, depending upon what our athletes want to do, so we will not be having a broadcast tomorrow. But we will be back the following day with ladies constant weight, where the things will really be getting exciting. Constant weight is probably the most glamorous of our disciplines.
It's the blue ribbon discipline, isn't it?
It is, yeah. There's something about it. I don't know. I guess it's the speed and the depth and
it seems to be the favourite from the competitors, and so we tend to get the biggest dives out of it.
Yeah, we do. So.
Early turn. Early. He must have had an issue with his equalization because he was close to the bottom.
Coming up, he's at 70 right now. So it looked like he turned 172 or so.
Some divers find that going down with extra speed helps their equalization, and some divers find that it hinders it. And it just depends on what style of equalization you're using and what you're accustomed to. But personally, if I descended at that rate, I wouldn't be able to equalize at all.
Yeah, you can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on how fast your equalization is.
That's a shame for Ariel, because that would have been a phenomenal dive.
Yeah.
It's looking good.
And here he's meeting the first safety.
Here comes the first safety at below 30 meters to meet him.
And the safety divers are all good friends of Ariel's, because he was a safety diver in the previous competition here, in the pre-comp.
Sure, they're excellent. As you all can see, you watch these safeties, how hard they have to work. They do dives over and over again. First safety comes in at 30, second safety comes in at 20, and it's a big responsibility. They have to be very good divers in very good condition to be able to get through these days.
And it's good training.
It is very good training.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
If you make like a week of break afterwards and then you go back into the water, you feel it.
Ariel has signaled he's very fresh. There's no indication.
Yeah.
He must have just had a stuck ear. So that's unfortunate. I'm sure he was hoping to make that dive.
Next time, Ariel lives in Roatan, so he's going to have plenty of opportunity.
Oh, well, that's great. That's great. We have a number of divers. Ricky Antans is living here now. He's moved from Argentina. This is a great place to train, so I'm sure they find that preferable to where they're from. Yeah. Okay, our next diver now coming up.
The whole safety team is gathered around Ariel.
Yeah, they're excited for him.
There's a lot of love there, and I'm sure a lot of shared broken hearts.
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations again. Coming up now on the blue platform is Jens Stessner from Germany. Timmy will be able to give us some good commentary on his fellow countrymen, so we're looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah, he was not training so much for immersion, so it will be interesting what he will do.
Okay.
For him, the main issue is equalization. So it's not hypoxia, it's not lactic or anything, no lungs issues. So it's basically just about the equalization. So and usually for free immersion, they say that equalization is a little bit easier because you can go down a little bit more relaxed for most of the people. So it will be interesting if he can make it or not. Maybe also depending on his technique.
It's interesting though, because I think people always make the assumption that the limit of a freediver is their hypoxic limit, but in most cases it's about how deep that diver is able to equalize to.
Exactly.
Equalization is the #1 skill here.
Yeah, so often when you talk to people and they don't know freediving, the first thing they ask is, oh, how long can you hold your breath when you go to, I don't know, 90 meters or something?
I'm trying to get in and out as fast as I can.
And you always say, yeah, it's not really about the static, it's not really about the breath hold, it's more about the equalization, which is an issue. So you need to get down there. That's the first thing, you know, and then the second thing is to come up.
Oh, all right. We're getting some questions here. We have some of our viewers asking, what is equalization?
Tim, go for it. Let's let the. I feel like this will sound better coming from the German accent.
Yeah. So basically, you have different air. You have different rooms of air in your head. So the sinuses, the middle ear. You have your lungs. When you dive with a mask, you have your mask, and some parts of them they need to be equalized. So when you're diving with a mask, it's basically your middle ear and your mask, which needs to be equalized. That means there's some pressure when you go down, and the more pressure you have, there comes a point when you feel that pressure and you need to equalize it. Otherwise, you will get pain. Otherwise, you can hurt yourself.
So basically, in our ears or in our middle ear, we have an airspace and as we descend down, the pressure will cause that air to compress.
Exactly.
And so what we're basically doing is pushing air, more and more air continuously into the airspace in our middle ear. But the difficult thing with this is that the deeper you go here, the more the air compresses inside your lungs. So you also start to lose access to the air in your lungs to equalize the ears. So that's part of the trick with freediving.
Jens is off now. To put it very simply, for those of you who have no idea about equalization, you know, when you
We've
go,
all had to try to explain, haven't we?
yeah, but no, really, when you go up in an airplane and your ears pop, that's what it is. It's
Absolutely.
the opposite though at altitude, but it's the same thing. Or if you've ever been in a swimming pool and you try to dive down to the bottom to pick up a coin or something and your ears hurt, okay, that's what it is. It's that, and you learn, you grab your nose and you push, that makes your ears pop. What it is popping your ears, and that's very basic, but there's a lot more to it than that.
What spectators might not realise as well is that most of, if not all of these athletes are wearing a nose clip on their nose. So basically that's why they don't have to pinch their nose, as Zeta said.
That's right. You're able to apply pressure against that nose clip, and that can make those ears pop. But it's basically popping your ears. That's the most simple thing I can say about it. So here we have Jens going down, and how's he looking, Timmy?
Very good. He's not holding the line. He tries to be very streamlined. I think from the dive time,
Seems
I'm
like a
not
very
sure.
relaxed free fall position.
Yeah, we don't really have the dive time, but the descent speed should be quite fast. It's like
It's definitely fast.
more than a meter per second, I think. So that's
Yes.
good. So maybe he struggles now a little bit with equalization.
Here we go. This
Looks
is
like
going to
it.
be the moment of
So-
truth. You can see.
He looks like he's thinking about it.
Yep.
But
he's
he
having
knows that
issues.
he's close. So
And
yeah.
there we go. Success.
Oh, there
Alright.
it is. There's the plate. That's such a great feeling when you see the plate.
Okay, I think he arranged the
Securing
tags.
the tag.
All right. Now he's coming up.
Right.
I noticed also on his way down he was doing strong big pulls. That's I saw that it's very different from all the free immersion divers. Many people make it differently. I used to take small pulls in the beginning, but he pulled strong and made big pulls in the beginning, so that's also something else. Yeah, but he should be fine. He, as far as I know, he wasn't really hypoxic in depth disciplines. Just in the pool, he's doing
Does
a
he
lot
do
of
a lot of pool training?
Yes, he does a lot of pool training, and he's diving actually in the lake.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
for him, this is like really easy diving.
This must be quite luxurious for him.
Yeah, exactly.
I was recently in Monchen with his club, and we went out to a lake and we were diving there in July recently, and you know, it's green, you can't see, and it's cold. This was an alpine lake in Germany, so you can imagine what it's like. So they come here and this is unbelievable for them. So. Here he's coming up, both safeties are with him right now. Keeping a very close eye on him just to make sure he's all right. He looks very strong. It doesn't seem to be having any trouble. There comes the photographer, Dan Verhoeven. Laura's over on the other side.
Okay, so here you can
And
see
here we
the
go.
rope is a little bit.
That's the current, yeah?
Yeah, that's the current.
Yep.
And he's breathing,
Breathing.
breathing.
Taking some nice deep breaths.
That's good.
Beautiful.
Nose clip and
And
goggles off. He needs to be quick now.
Yeah.
Okay.
as long as he
So
made
that
that
was-
time, that's going to be a white card, I predict.
Yes.
But it was at the same time as he gave the okay sign,
That's
so
all right. Yeah, that's all right. The
Uh,
rule says that if it seems to be simultaneous, it's okay, and it's specifically stated in the rules. So
all right.
that's all right.
Guys, that's going to be my cue to exit.
All right. Thank you so
I'm
much
gonna go
for
and have
joining
lunch.
us.
Thank you
And
very
we will
much,
see
guys.
you on our next day for Ladies Constant Weight. I hope.
Absolutely, you will.
Excellent. All right. Let's see what that card is for Jens. It's just a matter of whether or not he made
it's
it within
white
time.
card.
Excellent job. Good. Nice. Another white card. That's great news. Glad to see that. All right. Coming up on the white platform, we now have Carlos Correa of Colombia. Carlos has been diving at the Caribbean Cup for a number of years, and the last 2 years he has hosted his own competition in Santa Marta. That is his hometown, Santa Marta, Colombia. It's a very popular competition for the local Colombians. He's been a big influence in the sport in Colombia and with the development of AIDA Colombia. And we are very proud to have him here and have his enthusiasm for the sport. It's been great. So Carlos has announced a dive of 78 meters in a time of 2:36, and he's getting ready to go. Carlos's favorite discipline is no fins, but I think he's trying for a national record here at 78 meters. I don't know who presently holds that record. Trying to think. I'm not sure who that is. So it's his own or someone else. I just don't know. I know that Alejandro Paez Ramos, he may be the record holder in it, but I'm not sure. We'll have to ask Carlos when it's done. But it's getting ready to go now. The final seconds.
After Adam, after 2 divers, I need to switch.
So he's also sitting on 2 noodles.
He is sitting on 2 noodles. Something you're familiar with, isn't
yeah,
that's kind of your technique.
In Panglao, everybody's using it.
That's kind of the.
If you have some waves, it will make sure that you stay up. Yeah. So especially in competition, it's very important that you don't drop with your airways. Usually, if it's a wave, the judges would be fine with it, I think. But just to be sure, you should stay up. And yeah, he starts the free fall very early, already 20 meters. Maybe he's quite heavy.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, about the choice of weighting. You know, that seems to be individual preference. Some divers like to be a little bit more weighted to get down faster. Others like to be not very weighted or no weight at all, so that they can ascend easier. And it's something that the diver has to work out for himself to determine what works best for him.
Yeah, in general, it really depends also on the body. Like if you are heavy in the water or if you're very buoyant. Some people like Alexei, for example, he's very heavy in the water. He doesn't need so much weight. I think in no fins and in constant weight, he's not diving with any weight at all. Other people, if they would dive without weight, it will take them ages to go down.
Yes, I'm like a cork. I float like a cork. Oh, he's turning early. Unfortunate for Carlos. He must have had some sort of problem with his ears or something.
So usually it's also, if you have more weight, the equalization is easier because you need less pulse to go down or you need less effort to go down. It makes the dive also, I think, a little bit more relaxed. You maybe get your contractions later. And in general, I would say if hypoxia or if oxygen is a problem, you should dive with less weight. So because you get the contractions earlier, the dive reflex, we have a dive reflex when we're diving, it kicks in earlier, I would say. And in general, it is better if you have issues with oxygen. But if it's equalization and relaxation, maybe a little bit more weight would be good.
Now that's a good tip for our divers who are trying to learn about if you're having equalization problems. There's a lot of different things you can try to work on that, besides the basic mechanics of moving the air up at depth, which is the foremost one.
Important is just that
and
you
here's
know.
Carlos. And that was a shorter dive than he anticipated, so he's strong. He's fine.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a yellow card for Carlos unless he did something that we didn't see.
It's important to add that using more weight usually means like 100 or 200 grams. Just a little bit more. It doesn't mean like add 5 kilo or something. You've seen something like this already, and then people are very surprised that they have problems to come up, and it's actually a dangerous situation. So
yeah,
it's very important to be very precise and just add a little bit more, make a test dive, see how it is.
That's one of the things that we, in our instruction for when we have students that are spearfishermen, that is extremely important in spearfishing. Spearfishermen tend to be very heavily weighted because they want to be able to hunt at a certain depth and just kind of stay there. And many times they're in places where the water's cold, as in California or New Zealand, Australia, where the water's not that warm, and they wear thick suits, so then they wear a whole lot of weight, and I'm talking like 9 kilos or something. And if they have any issue at all with a blackout or anything, and they will just sink, and it's really very dangerous. So that is something to take into consideration for those of you who are learning freediving, or maybe you're spearfishermen, that your weighting is a big issue and you really need to think about it. And we haven't really mentioned it here, but the basic tenet of freediving is never dive alone. Always have a buddy with you and somebody who knows what they're doing. The likelihood of something bad happening to you is very low if you have someone there. The likelihood of something happening to you without anyone there is quite high. So it's extremely important that you always have a dive buddy.
And not just that, we have like I think quite good safety standards in AIDA, and as long as you stay with those safety standards, so also in competitive freediving, dive on a line, dive with a lanyard, progress slowly, be conservative. So when there's a day when the weather is bad or you have current, maybe don't go for a big dive. Go slowly.
The day you're not feeling well, don't say
Exactly.
I'm going to go for it anyway. Maybe you're feeling tired, maybe you're dehydrated, maybe you've got a little bit of the flu. You don't say, well, I'm going to go anyway, and I think I'll be okay. You really need to take your body into consideration as well and really think about it, because not only are you putting yourself at risk, but your friends who are with you, because it stresses them out if something happens, and you know, it's about the community as a whole, your family, your friends, and everyone. So, you know, you need to be cautious and always err on the side of being careful. It's really important.
That's what I always say. As long as you stay in those safety standards, you will be fine. It's not a very dangerous sport, I would say, and compared with other sports which are very popular, it is fine. But as long as if you go out of those safety standards and if you dive without a rope, without a lanyard, it is dangerous. And then when it comes to spearfishing, that's why it's very important when you have a buddy. You really need to have a good briefing. You really need to be well coordinated. That's extremely important.
Yes. Coming up now on the blue platform, we have Max Gardien of France. He's announced 75 meters in a dive time of 2:37. He is pushing aside his little short double noodle there and rolling and starting down.
And he has a pirate noodle.
He does have a pirate.
Some pirate noodle.
Yeah, we have some style expressions going on here at this competition.
Yeah, we have a chat on Facebook. Once he was posting that dive noodle or that pirate noodle, everybody was jealous.
So here he goes, and tell us your impressions of his style here, Timmy.
Looks very good. He takes his time. The deeper he goes, the more he glides. That's exactly how you should do it, because you need less effort to pull. So that looks very good. He started free fall at like 33 meters. That's a good depth. And yeah, I guess now he's just trying to relax as good as he can. All focus is on the equalization.
It's like he's doing a little steering with his feet, which
exactly
is good.
On the free fall.
Yeah.
So people are doing it differently. Some use their feet, some use their shoulders, some use their hips when they want to get more close to the rope or more away from the rope. And he's not turning around the rope, so that's also quite nice. So that means he should have got a nice speed.
He's coming up on 60 meters now, 15 meters away from the plate, and seems to be making good progress.
Little bubbles, maybe from the nose clip. It's always important that the nose clip is tight.
Yes, it's very disturbing when it comes off. I've had that happen to me. There he is. He's at the plate. He had a quick turn, very quick turn. Nice, easy, one stroke. Coming back up.
That looks good. Takes his time.
He looks nice and relaxed. No problem at this point in the dive. He looks good.
And also, as soon as he finished the pull, he's already in a gliding position, so he has one arm up. This is exactly how you should do it.
There comes the first safety at a little bit over 30 meters. Second safety is now coming into view. Giving his signals so he knows where he is, how far he has to go to the surface. Reassuring him that everyone's there and he's fine.
Okay.
It's like we have some spectators diving down to look at him over there on the outside. Photographers.
Maybe that was the current in the end. You could see a little bit.
Yeah, maybe
struggling with the position.
Yeah. And here
right.
he is, right here in front of us on the platform.
That looks fine.
Oh, very strong.
Clean protocol.
Yeah. got his tag. Waiting for the judges, Junko Kirihama and Sada Slava. Light card, nice dive for Max. All right, coming up now on the white platform, we've got Edgardo Andrade. He is a local Honduran, our only Honduran competitor in this competition. He has competed in the Caribbean Cup for several years now, since its inception. He has improved greatly. He has, I remember when he first started, he was diving in the 20s. He's now announced 71 meters and 2 minutes and 40 seconds at the national record attempt. He will be breaking his own record. So we're glad to have Edgardo here. He's a really outgoing, fun guy, and he's been doing some helping by surface coaching William Trubridge and some other things, and just enjoying this competition. And so he's another one of our local Central American divers who's come onto the scene and trying to get freediving going in the area, and we're very pleased to have them here. And they're excited because we've got a competition in their part of the world. So it's great. Have you had a chance to meet Edgardo, Timmy?
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a
very nice guy.
Yeah.
For sure.
He just loves this. He feels like he's absorbing all kinds of secrets through osmosis and all that, just by being around all these top.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the best thing about going to big competitions is you learn a lot. Even though you go there and you think you know already a lot about freediving, and then you come back and you have so many experiences, new experiences, which is really good. So you really grow with those big competitions.
And you know, we're a very close, small knit group, and even our top divers like Alexi and William and the others that are here, it's because there's not a lot of money in this sport at this point. They're very open about things. It's a really nice way you get to know them and share experiences and learn things, and it's just really great. It isn't that internal competition feel that you might have in other sports. And here goes Edgardo. He's on his way down now for his 71-meter national record attempt.
Yes, big pulls in the beginning, slides down easily.
Yeah.
So that's the style. I think he's wearing a weight belt. Same like Thibaut is doing. It's also very, very different on the free fall if you wear a weight belt or a neck weight. Mostly it's easier with a neck weight. For some people it's easier with the weight belt. Especially for beginners, it's often very weird to have a neck weight on, because it kind of it's not a nice feeling somehow. Yeah.
Especially like right on your throat, you're trying to breathe,
Exactly.
and you know these neck weights that we're speaking of. I don't know if Timmy has one handy here. We could show you what it looks like. They can be really big. In the pool, they're huge. They're made out of tires from little motorcycles and various types of things that people have invented. And in the pool, it can be huge and heavy, because when the divers take a big, big breath, their lungs expand so much they become very buoyant.
All right.
So there he's got this tag,
That's
and he's
really
coming
good.
down up. Yeah, he's looking great.
Good control over his turn. He knew where he was. That's nice. I'm not sure if he put the tag somewhere. I think he still has it in his hand. It's always hard to pull when you have a tag in your hand.
It is hard to pull. And it's also hard to pull when you're doing CNF if you have it in your hand, because you're doing this weird stroke.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I was at a competition once where the tag was a great big plastic thing on a clothespin, you know, a clothes peg they call them in Europe. And there was nowhere to put this thing. I had to hold it, and I was doing CNF, and it was really awkward. All right, here's our first diver joining Edgardo, giving him a signal, telling him he's good, and letting him know his depth. Our second safety has now entered the scene. 20 meters, coming up to the surface.
Oh. No, don't be bothered about the tag. Just come up.
I think he dropped the tag. Yeah, that's what happened there.
All right.
That was maybe what you were saying. He had it in his hand, which was not a good thing.
Free! And again! And again! Free!
Looks okay.
Give the signal! Give the signal! Say it! Keep breathing!
Good.
Stay up!
Well,
The meter was clean.
even with that little blip of jumping down to try to grab the tag, he's fine. And that would have really been a disaster for many people.
Okay. Let's wait for the card, but for me it looked like a white card.
Judges are talking.
Oh, nice.
So that's a new national record for Edgardo. Regarding the tag and why he made careful to grab it there, if you do not have the tag, it's a yellow card. It's only -1 point, which is not a big deal. But the thing is that if you get a yellow card, it cannot count as a record. So
But does the tag need to be visible for the judges?
It does.
Does it need to be on the surface, or what if he lost it at 8 meters and the judges could have seen the tag floating around? That would be yellow?
The rule says that the competitor must present the tag to the judges.
All right.
So, you know, we've had different discussions about that because we look on the film and we can see it fall off and we see that it was clearly obtained at the bottom, but it says it must be presented. And I had a discussion with some CMAS divers at Vertical Blue, Italians that were there, and they had lost the tag somewhere along the line. They said, well, in CMAS, you don't have to have a tag. Well, our second judge there, Vedran, is a CMAS judge, and he read the rules, and he had said to me, no, that's not true. And it is true in CMAS, they have to have a tag as well.
Okay.
But I guess in CMAS, they can overrule it if they want to. But it clearly states in their rules as well that the diver presents it to the judges. Now we have Adam Sellers from Australia coming up. He's on our blue platform. Adam has announced a dive of 70 meters and a dive time of 220. Not sure what's going on over here. We've got Deco stop.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what you see here is somebody is breathing oxygen at around 5 meters. So at 1.5 bar, and at that level you have elevated oxygen, so that means you get actually more oxygen inside your body. And we do this because of mainly to prevent DCS risk, so decompression sickness. Especially in free immersion, this is more a topic than in other disciplines because you have longer time underwater. So what actually happens is the more time you spend underwater and the deeper you go, the more nitrogen your body is getting. So you try to get this nitrogen out. It's a little bit like you are shaking like a Coke bottle, and you're shaking it and you're trying to make it open it fast. It wouldn't work, so you try to slow it down a little bit, and that's basically more or less what we are doing on breathing oxygen. It's a little bit hard to explain in 1 minute.
Yeah, it is a little bit more complicated than you might think. So Adam is going down now and on his 70-meter dive, and getting back to that issue with the oxygen, just so you know, we have it on the back here of our dive guide boat, and it's available for the athletes to use who want to. For those who have had some sort of a little episode or something, the recommendation is generally to be having it on the surface so we can keep an eye on them. But we have a lot of oxygen here available. So Adam's going down now, and he's just come into his free fall. I think just recently. He's at 50 meters currently. He's going around the line a little bit, Tim.
Yeah, he's turning around. I had this issue for a long time. I'm not sure if I had it in my dive. I'm not sure. Need to see, but it's. I think it has something to do with the body position. I first thought it was the lanyard or something, but
There he is at the bottom. He's getting his
quite
tag.
fast.
Yeah. He's trying to secure it to his wristband. So he's on his way up here. I'm taking one out. I happen to have a tag with me here, so if you want to see, this is what it looks like. It's Velcro, and it attaches. We have these made for us specifically for the competition, and it's just a small item, so it's easy to bring back, also easy to lose sometimes, but that's what it is.
Yeah, Adam is usually he's doing a lot of pool, so he should be fine for the oxygen.
Yeah, pool training is very good for breath hold.
So
Both safeties are with him. He's moving pretty fast. The safeties are getting kind of hard there.
he is very strong also, I need
Yeah.
to say. So he's more like a strong guy.
And here he comes.
Looks okay. Far.
A little bit hypoxic.
A little bit hypoxic, yes.
Yeah, but he's recovered and kept himself up.
I'm not sure if that was a dip.
Yeah.
It was very close.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from here. We're trying to look over the edge of the boat. It's a little hard to tell. We'll have to see what the judges say.
At
about
the
that.
moment he wanted to take off the no slip.
Yeah,
He
you
was
kind of
close to the
went
water.
back a little bit. Yeah. You need to make sure you hang on to that rope as high as you can and keep that head up. It's very sad to have it be just a quick little dip like that, and you have to stay up until the judges give you the card. So,
looked
that
like
was a dip, unfortunately.
yeah.
Oh, that's too bad because that really was a nice dive. So, yeah, a little bit hypoxic, but overall looked very good. So coming up, okay, over on the the white platform, we have Shuichi Goto of Japan. Shuichi is going to do a 70-meter dive in the dive time of 2:55. He's our next to the last competitor on that platform. So Shuichi's been competing for the last few years. He's come to Vertical Blue a few times. He's very polite, I must say. Tim, I don't know if you've met him.
I know him actually quite well.
Oh, good.
Because
then,
yeah, he was training with us in Panglao. He was
Very good.
competing. I did safety for him. I know him quite well, and I know his wife quite well. They're huge Star Wars fans.
Oh.
So his wife, she's called Leia, and they're always talking about Star Wars. And very nice people. Share a beer every now and then, every evening after diving. Very nice guy for sure. He's one of the more older divers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about his age, so I maybe shouldn't say anything, but I think he must be something between 50 and 60 years old. And he is actually quite constantly diving somewhere between 65 and 75 meters and all the disciplines, which is quite nice. And yeah.
So he's a solid diver, and I particularly enjoy him when I'm judging out on the line. He always vows to me after he completes his dive to thank me for my time, and that's very nice.
But you can also see he's still like an old school diver. He is using some form of hyperventilation in his breathe up still, which most of the divers don't use anymore. This was more the thing which the people did around 20 years ago.
Tim is one of our very active AIDA instructors, and Tim, would you explain to our viewers what hyperventilation is?
Yes, hyperventilation is basically over-breathing, so that means that you are trying to exhale CO2, so you're trying to go down with a low amount of CO2. And the reason for this is that people say they are more relaxed because the reflex of breathing comes later. So, but the problem is at the same time, oxygen-wise, you're not efficient. That means that this dive reflex which we have, the dive response and the breathe response, we want to have this to, or we want to have this because our body is saving oxygen actually in that moment. So it is better to have a good CO2 tolerance and to get used to the contractions, get used to the dive reflex. and just let it go, and then you're more efficient oxygen-wise. So it increases basically the risk to black out. That's why we say in AIDA you should never hyperventilate before you dive. Some people still do it before because they just feel a little bit more comfortable. But it's extremely important that you should not do this when you're starting freediving or something like this. It's very, very important.
Shuichi is off now and he's starting his descent on his 70-meter proposed dive. We'll see how he does here. Yes, and so what we suggest in AIDA as AIDA instructors is that normal breathing, normal tidal breathing is the term we use. Is that correct, Tim? That's
yes.
Just like we would be sitting here now, just normal breathing.
Some people say belly breathing. In my personal opinion, you should just relax.
Just
you should
relax.
just breathe normally, because also your heart rate is more stable. You get easier into the relaxation mood. Yeah. So, all right.
Are we starting his free fall
A
now?
little bit of trouble with the free fall. Now he's fine.
Yeah, now he's
Figured
back
it
on
out.
track. He came a little bit off the line.
So that's what you can see quite often. After your last pull, you still have a little bit of a bounce somewhere, maybe left side, maybe in front. So basically you balance that out, and then you feel okay. So he was sometimes turning early, so I hope this time he will be
Makes
fine.
it. He's at 56 meters right now. We'll see if he can make it down. And yeah, just one more note about the breathing. It's extremely important, I think. It's one of the things we're asked most often. Oh, he's going to
so
turn.
that was
Yeah,
very
that's a little
turn.
bit of a messy turn, but he's on his way back. New divers and everyone aspiring to be like Tim and our other record holders and think that there's some kind of secret, like we have some secret breathing that we do that which makes it possible for us to do these dives and hold our breath this long. But what Tim just told you is very important. Really what it is just relaxed, normal breathing. There is no secret. The secret is it takes a lot of training and a lot of experience and training with a good instructor. And that's what will get you on track and to make you a better diver. Shuichi's coming up right now. He's at 35 meters. We'll see the safety very soon. We'll be entering our picture here. And there they are, coming in. Giving him the once-over, make sure he's all right, looking into his face. You can see the kick technique that the safety divers use. We would wear very long fins. These are called bi-fins, and they're long and they're very flexible. This is the most efficient form of fin for us. When we come back for constant weight, day after tomorrow, you will see monofin, and we will talk about those when we start that. And here he is on the surface. He's being coached.
So yeah. One thing about the hyperventilation maybe I can tell is like today was the second time I felt hypoxic, but there was nothing wrong, so I think it was simply just a hard dive, you know, and I felt my limit.
Yeah.
Well, nerves were okay, but the first time I felt hypoxic after a deep dive, it was actually unconscious hyperventilation. So I was nervous and I was over breathing.
And it's a yellow card as we thought. Yeah, he turned early.
And I was over breathing, and I felt the symptoms. So symptoms which you can feel is like tingling in your hands. Maybe you feel your lips are getting numb. You feel a little bit dizzy, lightheadedness, and basically when you feel this, you shouldn't dive. Or what you can do is just hold your breath and accumulate some CO2 again. And basically it was 20 seconds before I should go down. It was in competition, and I thought, okay, let's go for it. And I went down, and at 57 meters, no fins, and I didn't feel one contraction on the whole dive.
Wow.
So there was basically, I was going down, I was coming up, and I knew, oh, that was strong hyperventilation and unconscious. And all I remember, I grabbed the rope, and that was it. The next I remember is the safety's got me. Yeah. So this is typical what can happen on hyperventilation.
Yeah, no, it is not good. It is not a good thing to do, that's for sure. It can be quite dangerous. All right, now on the blue platform, we have Naoto Yoshikawa of Japan. He's announced a 68-meter dive and a dive time of 2:45. Timmy, have you met him? Do you
Yes,
know about
I
him?
was training with him also a lot of
All
time.
right,
Like
good.
the
Well-
Japanese divers, they are often going to Panglao, is
Oh,
also
good.
where I was training. Yeah, Naoto is a very nice guy. He progressed quite fast. He was, the first time I met him, he was doing 50 meters. That was, I think, not even 1 year ago. It must have been, yeah, or maybe like a one year ago. It was in October last year. And yeah, he progressed quite fast. I think he likes constant weight more than free immersion, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Yeah. He did his instructor course also with Stefan Randig.
Oh, very good.
Stefan Randig is one of the German athletes. He's holding the national record for free immersion and for
The one you were working on today,
Yeah.
by the way. Yes.
a few meters less, and then probably I could have broken it, but I wanted to have the 100, so that was too much. Just wanted too much. Huh? But yeah, it's he did his instructor course with him, and I was also assisting it a little bit.
And Naoto is off in the beginning of his dive here. He pushes his neck pillow away. Neck pillow is another floating device that some people employ to assist them at the beginning of the dive. He started his descent.
The neck pillow is nice if you want to lay down in the water on your back. That's very nice to do it this way.
And if there's a little bit of chop like this, it does keep your head up, so maybe you don't get splashed in the face. It isn't very pleasant to take that last breath. We do take one big last breath before we go down, even if we're not packing or anything, and the last thing you want to happen is swallow a bunch of water when you're trying to take
Exactly.
that breath. So he's moving quite quickly here, moving along. He's at 36 meters, and
I did also some deep safety training with him together. He did some dives till 40 meters, and I had the scooter. So I wanted to test how it is if you bring up somebody with the scooter from deep dive, from 40 meters, for example. He was pulling quite long. He was pulling, I think, nearly until 50 meters.
yeah, it looks like that's what he was doing here too. He's now it looks like he's he's going to turn. So it looks like something happened. He's coming back, looking at about 59 meters.
In most of the cases, it's equalization.
Yeah.
So, and there are many things which are correlated with the equalization. So sometimes it can be the relaxation. Sometimes it can just be mental stress.
Yeah, sometimes it can just be congestion, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
and which is really frustrating, or a little bit of some swelling or pressure in the sinuses and in the eustachian tube. It can be physical sometimes, but the majority of times it is not. It's usually related to something else. But it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating for all of us. It can be difficult. And even like William Trubridge said today, he turned just 1.5 meters before the plate, and he turned because he had one ear that after his last equalization just wasn't cooperating with him. So even at his level, a world record holder, sometimes it doesn't work.
And you need to turn when you need to turn. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no.
Yeah, and William has 2 big dives coming up in constant weight and CNF, so he didn't want to risk it today. And here he is on the surface. Oh, he's perfectly strong. You know, that was a short dive for him. So, but I'm sure he's disappointed. I'm sure he would have liked to have gotten a white card on that one. Yeah. Better a yellow card than a red card just because you pushed it and things weren't working and a broken eardrum. So you have to make those decisions sometimes as an athlete.
Yeah, and you can also hurt not just your eardrum. You can also hurt your inner ear.
Yeah.
In really bad cases, then you have a problem, because then you have problems in hearing.
Yeah.
It's what happened to me one time, and I was doing a course in the lake, so I was really hard. I was doing a course in the lake, and I needed to be very close to the students, and my right ear didn't plop, so I was pushing a lot with the Frenzel technique, and then it was like overpressure, and I hurt my inner ear, and since that I have problems on the right side to hear, like just slight problems. So that's very important to not push your ears in any way.
It takes a long time to heal those things, and then sometimes it doesn't work well at all after that. So yes, you do have to be careful with these things. Our last diver on the white platform for today will be Frank Gutierrez. He's also from Guatemala. He is the brother of the other Guatemalan diver, America, who went earlier, who had a successful dive and a national record to 70 meters. Frank has announced 63 in a dive time of 2:15. So they've both been very excited to be here and to be able to participate in this competition, and we are certainly happy to have them with us. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet many of our Central and South Americans since you've been here?
Not so much.
Because you're from Timmy's German, but he trains in Panglau, and he and Stefan Randig have a very enthusiastic program there. A lot of competitions. They just had one this week. Goran Čolak, I noticed yesterday, did 115-meter constant weight dive. A new record for Croatia. Some other great records from AIDA from Poland, and I don't mean to be excluding anyone, but off the top of my head I don't remember all of them, but I noticed there were some excellent dives.
Stefan did 70 meters.
Stefan,
he
yeah,
broke my record.
He broke no, that's the most important one, isn't it? He broke Timmy's record. So Timmy, I'm sure will be having that in his mind as he starts no fins over the weekend. So
Yes.
we'll have that coming up. So Timmy did some beautiful dives in vertical blue and no fins for us, and it's a pleasure to watch. So his name is Juan Francisco. He goes by Frank. He's an outgoing fellow who's been quite enjoyable to get to know here at this competition, and he and his brother have both been diving very well. And for new divers, it's very impressive to see some of these divers, Timmy, that we haven't seen at other competitions doing 60 and 70 meters. I mean, that really is very, very good work on their part. Here he goes. He's starting. He employs the double noodle technique. And he's starting his descent. No, we're not. You can come by. There's Edgardo. Come over and join us, Edgardo.
Hi, Carla.
Hi. Right now we have Edgardo Andrade joining us, the Honduran champion, and just broke his own record again. Congratulations, Edgardo,
Thank you
on a
very
very
much.
nice dive.
Thank you very much.
Give us your impressions of this competition this year.
It's for next year, you said.
For this year, how are
For
you
this
feeling
year.
about this?
I'm feeling really proud that the World Championship has been taking place here in Honduras, and it feels like everything is working out really smoothly, and adding the dive and the safety team, everything is just perfect at the moment, and I feel really proud that everything
That's
is
great.
happening. Yes.
Well, we are very pleased to have this hosted by Honduras, the Honduras Tourism Board, Esteban Darhampy and his team at Roatan Freediving, and the Mayan Princess. It's just been a wonderful competition thus far. Here's our next diver here, Frank, from Guatemala. He's just grabbed the tag and he's coming back up. Edgardo, what do you think about this dive, and how do you like his style?
He's doing good. He's got good movements, strong arm, and he's doing very strong coming on his way up. I see he's got good technique as well.
Good. How did you feel on your dive today?
It was great. Just that moment that I lost the tag, and
Yeah,
I was
we saw
trying.
that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
trying to, and finally I got it. But
We saw that you had it in your hand. We
I
were a
had-
little concerned.
I had it
We
in my
were.
hand. At the last
Yeah.
moment, I ripped the hood, so that's why I was afraid to do this.
I see.
Yes, so that's why I had it in my hand.
Yeah.
But finally, everything came out good.
Well, you know, to have the composure to grab the tag and then still make it to the surface and be able to do that was very impressive. And here comes Frank. Let's see how he does. Let's watch this protocol. We know he has a tag. He's going to remove his nose clip. He gives the signal. He seems very strong.
Yes,
From our
he is.
position here, he looks very strong.
Yes, he is.
We'll just wait to see what the judges say, but that looked like a very strong protocol to me. He should be very happy with that. Yes, we saw you lose the tag and you went down to get it, and I thought, oh no, because that takes a lot of energy, and it also rattles you in the
Yes,
head.
yes,
you know?
yes.
So I was very impressed with your composure and your poise.
Well, thank you very much.
It looked like I think that would give you some confidence to know you can go a little deeper.
Yes.
White card
Yes,
for
white
Frank.
card as well.
Very nice. So we're
Proud.
That's very nice for Frank. So finishing up on the white platform with a white card, that
Yes.
concludes a good day for us.
Yes.
We're going to have another dive over here on the blue platform, though. We have 2 more dives on this line. They're coming up for 50 meters in a dive time of 2 minutes. We have Tadahiro Kobayashi, Hiro from Japan, and he is getting ready. He's relaxing and getting ready for his dive. And I'm having trouble seeing. We're kind of blocked here from our position, but
Yeah, the wind kind of shifted stuff a little bit.
yeah, we shifted a little bit. We've got a banner that's hanging here that we can't see over. So, and right now the camera's on Edgardo and myself, and
Yes.
we can't see what's going on over here, but we will in just a second, I'm sure. We have his dive. His official top is 1:16, so he's got a couple minutes yet here before we start. I had mentioned to our viewers, Edgardo, and something that all new divers, competitive divers need to learn is that the times are exact. If your dive time is, your start time is 1:16, that means 1:16.
Yes.
And you will go exactly at 1:16. You have 30 seconds to start your dive and to immerse your airway. And if you are later than that, it is that red card, you are disqualified. And that's the only times there's an exception is if we have some sort of a problem and we have to delay, and that's an organizational matter. Sometimes like, oh, if the camera stopped working or the plate got stuck, or it's usually something like that. But we try to keep it as smooth as possible.
Yes.
Because the divers need to get into this calm state and rhythm, knowing when they're going to start, and they start their preparation for breathing and relaxation, and they time it according to when they're going to start their dive. Do you have anything special that you do in preparation for your dive?
Most of it is trying to relax as much as I can before my dive and do the breathing. And before that, my warm-up dives, I am really prepared for it. And mentally, well, sometimes it try to affect me, but then I just relax more, and everything comes through at the moment that I jump into the water and I clap my lanyard to the line. I completely change and I am ready for my dive.
Yeah, that's everyone has a little bit different technique, you know, but whatever you can do to try to get into the most relaxed state as possible. What we're trying to achieve is this relaxation. It's something in our sport that is different than it is in other sports. In swimming, running, something like that, where it's all adrenaline and you're pumped up, and
Yes.
you know you use that. But for us, it's the opposite. We're trying to be relaxed and calm and get our heart rate down, and it's difficult to achieve because nerves always come into play.
Yes. Once you hear the numbers, for me, because I'm a new diver, and it starts hitting me in my, I can feel my heart rate, but then I start controlling it by breathing up and relaxing as I've been trained. So I just do my best, and it's been working so far.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
So here we have Hiro starting. He's one of our divers that breathes up on a snorkel. So it's hard to tell when they start, actually. The start begins, if they're breathing on a snorkel, when he removes the snorkel.
Yes.
But it's hard for us to see from this position when that actually takes place. So the judges have to put their heads in the water and actually watch for that. So he's progressing now, and he's starting the beginning of this dive, which I had mentioned is 50 meters, dive time 2 minutes. And let's see how he does. What do you think, Edgardo?
He's got good technique. He's going streamline, and I'm seeing that he's relaxed. His dive looks like he's very relaxed all this way down. I've never seen him before, so this is my first time now. He's doing his free fall, controlling his distance between him and the line, having the hand on the line. I'm noticing a different technique here.
Probably just gives him a little reassurance.
There you go.
Coming down to the plate now.
There you go.
He had a nice grab for the plate.
Yes.
Very nice relaxed movement there, very smooth. You don't want to do anything too hurried or jerky or anything that can cause injury at depth. So we try to be as smooth as possible when we grab the tag. You don't want to put extra stress on your chest or throat because you can get a little injury or significant injury depending. He's on his way back up right now. He's at 30 meters. His dive time is 1:23. We should be seeing the safeties come in here. There they are, just as we announced that. Safety 1, safety 2, checking him out, giving him some signals, and letting him know where he is.
Congratulations, WCH.
We have Frank joining us now after his successful dive. Hi, Frank. Good to see you. We've got Hero coming up to the surface. He made it to the bottom. He has his tag. We're just waiting to see now how his protocol is and what kind of card he gets. So let's see.
Very relaxed.
There he is. He's there. He needs to get that nose clip off. And he has the tag in his hand. He gives the signal. Looks like that should be good. We'll wait for the card. Never want to second guess the judges till we know, because sometimes they see something that we can't see.
Yes.
So, you know, from our position, we might miss something. So we wait and see what they say. They're right in front of him. They have the best view. They will talk to each other and confer. They always agree first before they give the card. We have Savas and Junko on this line. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't see the card.
I see they're getting the cards, but yes,
Yeah.
it looks like
He's still waiting. I'm not sure what's going on here.
white card.
White card. All right. Very good. And our last diver on this line will be Chris Kim from the USA. He's relatively new. He competed in the Team World Championships last year in Kalamata. He's going to do a 35-meter dive and a dive time in 1:30. So we have Frank here. Frank, tell us about your dive.
It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
It looks really nice.
It was really nice watching my brother earlier
Yes.
get his national record. It was really fun. Yeah.
He's just a couple meters ahead of you.
Yeah.
Do you have a little rivalry going on here? A little sibling rivalry?
Not
or-
much. You know,
No?
his strength is definitely free immersion, and I'm more of a no fins guy.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, we compete in different things.
But in between the brothers, they're gonna have all the national records in
That's
Guatemala.
true.
Yeah. No, it's fun us being out here together. We support each other a lot, and we've been coaching each other a lot. Today was a weird day because our schedules were so far apart,
Yes,
but normally we can coach each other quite a bit.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's always nice to be out here and representing Central America with Edgardo is great.
Well, this is so exciting for all of us in the Americas, actually, to have this competition here, because even for me, even though I'm a little further north than you, I still live in Southern California, so I'm in your half of the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
We have Chris over here. He was listed on the white platform, on the blue, but they've moved him over to the white, which makes sense because they had one less diver over there. So he's breathing up and getting ready to go, and we'll see. He's a spear fisherman. He started his involvement in ocean activities via spearfishing, which many of our divers do. He's involved in his local spearfishing club and also the Hawaii Free Divers. So spearfishing is huge in Hawaii. There's a lot of fish. It's clear. It's water. It's illegal, and so it's a great thing. It's a big thing in California, where I'm from too. Although we don't have very nice water here, but it's green. It's cold, and but we do have a lot of fish in California. Just hard to see them.
Yeah.
So that's why most of our spearfishing is relatively close to the surface, because down deep you can't see anything. So Chris is getting ready to go now. As I said, 35 meters and a dive time of 1:30. And so, Frank, what else do you have to say about this competition? Have you had a chance to meet a lot of the athletes? And
Yeah, meeting a lot of the athletes has been great. Before competing, names like William Trubridge, Alexei Molchanov, it's big names, and it's nice to be out here and just share with them these dives and dinner and things like that. Yeah, just be one of the guys. It's great.
Yeah.
My favorite part about all this is the safety team. I really like that side of things, and it's been great working with Rand and Carrie on medical stuff, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've got great safety here. We also have
There's Chris's dive.
there goes Chris. He's off. This should be a really fast dive because it's 35 meters. It's our shortest dive of the day, and let's hope we finish this up with a nice white card for Chris. I'm sure he'd be happy with that.
He looks very relaxed.
Yeah.
Looks like he tightened up his nose clip a little bit around 20 meters.
He's got a little bit of a loose weight belt there. I think he could streamline a little better by getting rid of that. See that piece of that belt flopping around there?
Yes.
Yeah. Sonar.
He's almost at his target depth.
Yeah. Close, 34. We should be right there. The sonar seems to be out, so that's why this is so great.
Oh, he's. I guess he's going deeper.
Oh. Yeah, because we had it down here as 35. It looks like he's going for 50. Oh, maybe our list was wrong. Maybe it got printed wrong or something like that. Yeah, because he's definitely not going to 35 meters.
He's there.
There he is.
He's at 50.
Grab it.
Nice
All right,
job,
he's got it.
Boom. Good job. Oh, I see. That's Chris Funata. He's not on our list. I'm wondering somehow. So maybe what we're doing is missing. And then Chris Krim is going to be here. I'm sorry for those of you at home. We seem to have a little confusion here. We've been perfect so far, but we seem to be off here with our list. So maybe there was a misprint or something like that. 2 Chris's and the wrong dives here. I'm really sorry.
He looks really comfortable on the ascent. He's just met the first safety. And there's the second safety.
Surface here, there you can see the beautiful top of the water, the top of our screen, the platform in the background. He's looking for the surface, relaxing, just letting himself float up, and there he is. Alright, let's see how this is.
Oh, it looks like the safeties had to step in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looks like
dipped.
Yeah, I think he went backwards a little bit. His head went back.
A little bit of an airway, a little bit of hypoxic issue there. Probably didn't take a big enough breath when he got to the surface.
I'm not sure if they actually touched him or if he recovered on his own.
Yeah, if they didn't touch him, it would be okay as long as they were. You did see the touch there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Red card.
Yep, they did touch him.
Yeah, it's a DQ assist. All right. We have a bunch of different terms we use for things that happen. That would be either a DQ dip or a DQ assist, red card in any event. So that line is done. Do we have another diver?
We've got one more diver, I think. Now we got Chris Kim.
So we do have Chris Kim, black on the... Maybe what happened to this sheet is it just got cut off on the bottom. That may have been the problem. So we have Chris Kim over here with 35 meters. Let's hope that's the right dive. And
I'll look over.
All right.
It's him.
Yeah, okay, good. We got Chris Kim. Good. All right. Again, accept my apologies for Chris Funata for totally giving you the wrong information on him and his dive. But now we've got Christopher Kim coming on. It's our last diver of the day, 35-meter dive. So, T's got 2 minutes to go. He's got his coach there helping him, getting him prepared. I think he's probably one of our, I don't know him personally, but I'm thinking he's probably one of our divers from Hawaii. We have quite a big group here from Hawaii. They were very excited to have the World Championships in the Americas.
In the Americas, yeah, I bet it's easy.
Absolutely.
Instead of traveling to Europe.
It is much easier from Hawaii. From Hawaii, it's really far because Hawaii is 5 hours from California, so and I'm 5 hours from New York. So when you think about the travel, it's very expensive too. So it's nice, what we would like to do for the future in AIDA is have World Championships rotate, or have some kind of big World Cup or something that we have one in the Americas, one in Europe, and then one in Southeast Asia or something like that to make it more fair so that we can...
Well, it seems like now there's enough athletes from each place too.
Yes, we're starting to...
I bet it wasn't warranted before, but now...
No. And because it is expensive. The Japanese always are willing to travel, but for the Australians and New Zealanders, it's very difficult for those. It's expensive, and the jet lag and everything that comes with it So if we could have competitions rotate around, just like the Olympics do, you know, they pick different countries and different parts of the world to make it fair, and I think we should do that as well.
He's got 30 seconds left to start.
30 seconds to start. Okay, now we'll have to keep an eye on his coach here. There is a rule that the coach cannot touch the diver. After their airways, they can hold on to them up until official top, but we have to make sure there's no interference. And when you have a coach that's doing this sort of thing, it's something that the judges have to watch for. Yep, she's moving off, so she's fine. She won't be in any hindrance at all here. And
Nice
Chris
breath.
is
There he
off.
is.
And there he goes. He's on his way down.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Alex.
Yep, 35 meters. He's at 21 right now. It's taking
Looked like he
about-
just mouth-filled a second ago.
Yeah. Which at 35 meters for a lot of us, we don't really need to have a mouthful, but you know, Chris he's learning his technique and the way you should. You need to learn how to do that because you get to a certain point where you can't go any further unless you know how to do it.
Get that tag. There he goes. He's got it.
Tag. He's got it.
Put it
Trying
away.
to secure it, putting it on his wrist, having a little trouble, but he's on his way back up. It's good. It's all a learning experience. One thing for new competitors that is a good thing to do is set the plate really shallow, 8 meters maybe, and practice getting that tag and making that turn. And you can just set it shallow and do it over and over again until you get a nice smooth movement and become comfortable with it. Because otherwise you get down there for the first time at depth and you're kind of fumbling around and it can be a little bit disconcerting. So,
All right, is it 10 meters? That's good.
anyway, yeah,
10
he's
more
almost
seconds.
There. He's coming up. And
Let's see his surface protocol.
yeah, let's see how he looks. There's Chris. All right, coach is telling him to breathe. I'm not sure about
I couldn't
the-
see
couldn't
it,
see
yeah.
that- couldn't see that signal very well.
I think it. No, he gave the signal. I'm just not sure about the sequence, but it looks good. I think everybody's laughing, so.
Yeah. We have Ekaterina Romanova from Russia joining us here, judging right now. Junko's on the platform along with Alex Rusu and Savas in the water. So he's getting his tag.
So I guess that's going to
There's
be a
his
white.
tag, and there's a white
White
card.
card.
Very nice.
Yes.
Good job.
Very nice. So our end of the day ends on a good note with a white card for Chris Kim. That's great.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Thanks for joining me,
Thanks,
guys,
Carlos.
and good luck. And I'll see you again on Constant Weight Day.
All right.
Thanks
Okay.
for all
See you
your
soon.
help.
Have a great day.
Have a good day tomorrow. Thank you. That concludes our broadcast for today with our men's free immersion. We'll be back day after tomorrow with Constant Weight. I want to again thank all of our guest commentators and all the help that I received here. We had a kind of a mixed bag, I would say. We had some very good dives. Some of our biggest dives maybe didn't quite make it. For where we are right now, it looks like William Trubridge is in first place, but that is pending any sort of protests. Nothing is final until after the final results are posted, and that will be at 7 o'clock tonight. So we won't know until then exactly who the medal winners are, but we will post it on Facebook so you all know. Thank you again to the Honduras Tourism Board, Esteban Darhampe, all of our sponsors, the Mayan Princess, and Dive-Eye for being here for this great broadcast and this new innovation for us at AIDA International Freediving. Thank you very much and have a good day tomorrow.